I think Henry could be described as a treasure hunter, potentially in two ways. First, the term treasure trove is used during this period, and just as it is today, the king could claim treasure that was found within the country, both buried treasure, and also he was actively looking for mineral deposits in England in the hope of finding silver and gold deposits. But equally, his attitude towards the courtiers around him, when they fell from favour, he was very quick to confiscate both their property and their possessions, and he incorporated them within his own belongings, often leaving their mottos in place and their badges, so that for anyone else to see, you could see the pitfalls of falling from favour. If we look at the 1547 inventory, which was taken at the time of Henry VIII's death, we get a very good sense of what was valued in Henry VIII's time. It starts with the things that you might expect: jewels, plate, so precious metals and gemstones, but it covers a much wider range of things. So military hardware was of value, ordnance, ships, these all came within the king's personal possessions. But one of the other key areas would have been textiles at this period.
We tend to think of paintings by great artists like Holbein as being the really great works of art from Henry's court. Actually, they were quite cheap and probably not taken terribly seriously compared with things like tapestries, which had lots of gold and silver thread in, which were extremely useful because you hang them on the walls of a palace and they keep the palace warm, and which had very large-scale figures telling stories, maybe stories from English history, stories from Romance literature, stories from the Bible, and of course you could move them around from palace to palace.
Also, the raw materials that they were made from were very expensive, so silk in particular, but good quality linen was also expensive, and many of the textiles incorporated metal-wrapped threads, and so again you've got the raw bullion essentially being incorporated into the textile. And finally, the dyestuffs were very expensive, in particular those prized by the elites.
Because certain dyes are harder to obtain, and hence more expensive. That's why reds and purples are signs of upper-class rank, because these dyes are difficult to come by.
And in comparison to modern times, their value is way above what they are now. So both furnishing textiles and textiles for dress would have had a much higher value than today.